Previously on 610 Garage, crane rebuild. And in other news, brake pedal came. And now the continuation. Brake pedal's done. Master cylinders are next. So the brake calipers are done. Man, did they take a lot of brake fluid. I think it was 1.5 quarts of brake fluid. I also took off another layer of muck. It's not looking bad. Took off some of the paint, but you know, that's gonna happen. Man, there's still dirt down there. How is that even possible? My light just said that it doesn't want to work for me anymore and jumped off. What are you doing down here? Get back on the camera. That's your home, like it or not. I have yet to test the stopping power with the actual machine, which is like 50,000 pounds. I did check to see if the tires will stop, and they do actually stop. So it works. Bleeding was a pain, though. Normally when I bleed a tire, not a tire, why would I bleed a tire? I'm going to start this over again. Lately when I've been bleeding brakes, I've been using a oil sucker thing. So there's a little nub on the end of the caliper that you loosen to bleed out pressure. It's got a little nub on it, which I already said, to put a hose on it to capture the brake fluid, because brake fluid is pretty caustic. It will eat paint. I have both my portable oil sucker, and we just got one for the shop. It's a whole contraption. It collects oil, discharges oils, and sucks oil. Started using that to bleed brakes. It works fantastically. I don't need another person up there. I can just suck the oil right through. It's much faster, much easier. So I'm bleeding the brakes in this retarded sprayer. I figured I'd show you how I bleed brakes now. So I got this oil catch thing, and it has a vacuum attachment to it. I don't know if you call it attachment, it came with it. But it turns the container into a vacuum, which then goes into this port. Turn that valve on, and then I can suck the brake fluid right out of the caliper. Pulls it from the master cylinder, so I don't need another body pushing the pedal. Real nice, especially since I do most of my work by myself. I'm all alone. The problem with this is the slave cylinder, which is what activates the brakes, is so close to the knuckle that I didn't actually have enough room to get a hose on it. Kind of stupid if you ask me. But I was able to bleed them. Had to do it the old-fashioned way. Had my dad up in the cab, pressing the brake pedal, and me down below, opening and closing that bleed valve, bleed port, bleed fitting, bleed something. Fortunately, this is air-powered, so pressing the pedal isn't that hard. I remember when I was a kid and I'd be bleeding brakes with my dad, and my knee would be crying out for mercy because I was holding the pedal so hard. I actually, in hindsight, probably didn't need to hold the pedal that hard. So right now I'm waiting for lubricants. Chain and rope oil for, well, the chain and rope. Gear oil for the axle, final drive, turntable. I don't think I got enough gear oil. Anyway, oil for that, and most importantly, transmission fluid. So I'm hoping to get that tomorrow or maybe Tuesday. I'm not too sure when they're shipping it out. But that's what we're kind of waiting on now. I'm scoping out what to do for backup camera and lights. Looking over the power system for that. Not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to get to it or not, because some other projects are suddenly becoming more pressing. Mostly snowplow for the tractor, and probably should be getting ready for some winter stuff around here. But once I get the fluids, I'll be able to actually use the crane. The lights and backup camera is just purely optional at this point. So last night I got the fluid in the transmission changed. Changed the filter. And I changed the oil in both differentials. Right now I'm changing the oil in the final drives, and then it's just engine oil. Oh no, there's more oil, isn't there? Crap. The diffs were easy though, although they took a lot of fluid. I think it was like close to 4 gallons of fluid each. I almost overflowed my bucket because I didn't think it was that much in there, but there is. So right now I'm changing the fluids in the final drives. Fluid levels wasn't too bad. Transmission was maybe 2 gallons shy. Front left final drive seemed a little low. I'm not entirely sure about the axles, but they seem to have enough fluid in them. The interesting thing is the low transmission fluid kind of points to this thing sitting just a really long time. So I could see that oil drifting back to the, well, let me explain. The torque converter is separate from the transmission. So the transmission is what holds the oil, but the torque converter obviously has a decent amount of fluid in it. You're supposed to check it while it's running. When it's off, some fluid does flow back to the transmission case. Well, if it's sitting for a really long time, a lot more fluid than you originally think flows back, flows out of the fill cap or something, and you lose a little bit of oil. So I think it just sat for a really long time. I was going to change the engine oil, but somebody did not want to change that oil last time, and they tightened the crap out of the drain plug. So I'm going to get a new drain plug and then try to get the old one out. It's not too badly screwed up, so I think an impact will do it. But if it turns into a nightmare, I want to do it while it's cold, basically. So I'm chicken. I also noticed, I don't know if I can actually show you, but there is a dripping high-pressure fuel line right under there. So I'm going to have to tighten that. I don't know if it's worth getting new. Do they have O-rings? No, they don't have O-rings, do they? Not O-rings, but seals. Copper seals. I might have to look into it. I was thinking maybe I should get some new seals, but now that I think about it, I think they're flared. So hopefully it's just loose. I'm also concerned that maybe an injector is slightly clogged, so it's backfeeding too much pressure into that one line. It did sit for a while, so the injectors just might need to be hammered a little. Maybe I should take this thing up and down the street a couple times. Now I did move this thing around a bit, just a little, just kind of over into here. I was kind of playing. I had two waste oil drums, and I moved them with the crane over to here. Real nice control with it, I do have to say. I've never really operated a crane before, and I was able to keep the block still. Now, I have a lot of experience with equipment, but still, first time doing it, real precise controls. Brakes seem to work fine too, so, and the emergency brake seems to be getting a little bit more bite out of it. Might be compounded with rust, and it just needs to be cleaned up, which I probably did when I forgot to release it a couple times. I should probably put a buzzer or something on that thing.